Okay, so Percy Jackson episode 6. I think there's 2 episodes left, if I recall correctly. It's an 8 episode series. So we're slowly getting to Hades. And I do mean slowly. So we pick up with them in the back of the truck and trying to figure out where they are. And while Grover's doing that, and Percy has this dream where some guy is talking to someone else about how the war between Poseidon and Zeus is just the beginning. We don't know who he is, but he notices Percy and calls him out, calling him a little hero. So Percy wakes up, and like I said, they're trying to figure out where they are. Annabeth creates this prism where they wanted to talk to Chiron, but they got Luke instead. And Luke said that Chiron is helping put forces together because the cabins are fighting each other. Which, okay, I guess that makes sense. And when Percy is about to tell Luke that they're going to Vegas to see Hermes, because that's his dad, Annabeth basically hangs up the phone and explains that they don't get along, which nobody ever gave that impression. When Luke was in Hermes' cabin, he never gave the impression that he and his father don't get along. So, they find out that they're almost there and that the drivers are actually traffickers. And of course, they're trafficking animals because, of course, they are. Because it gives Grover something to do, which is free the animals. So he wants to free the animals and themselves. So he does that, and of course there's a camel that causes a traffic jam. And they find where the casino where they're supposed to go. Well, Annabeth does. They go in, and people are... Grover and Percy are like, wait a minute. Problem. And they mention about the Odyssey and how eating the lotus flowers will make you forget. So they decide to go in anyway, and because they have to find Hermes. And Grover gets distracted by finding someone he knows. And he goes with this person only to end up losing his own memory. And because he's in search of Pan. And turns out the search for Pan is some virtual reality video game. And I kind of feel bad for Grover because when he realizes what's happening, So Percy and Annabeth search for Hermes. They find Hermes, and Percy had earlier made a good observation that they all split up. He has no idea what Hermes looks like. So they find Hermes. Hermes tries to convince them to play craps. I'm like, they're 12 years old. Why would they know how to gamble? And Annabeth blurts out that they know Luke, which you can see the pain in his face. He's very sad about, hearing that name. Which we find out that that Luke is blaming Hermes for something bad happening to his mom. Now, I didn't catch if she got killed or what it is. but she is a seer, and that's when Annabeth is explaining what a seer does. Percy is slowly freaking out because he realizes that what she's describing is what he's experiencing. So Hermes then sends them to his office, and he talks to them. He mentions that he could send them to the mouth of Hades, but nothing good ever happens. So I don't know if it's a combination of PTSD or possibly something more sinister, because all of a sudden he tells Percy that the summer solstice is upon them, that it's Thursday. So, Annabeth at this time had already taken off, and she picked his pocket. So she has his keys. And so then they have to find Grover. And we find out that the reason you don't need to eat anything is that they're pumping the lotus into the air. Now, my question is why? Why would they do that? Why would they make people forget who they are and why they're there? I mean, I get that it's a casino and they want to keep people gambling, but still, that's just super weird, especially since, like, the older satyr, suddenly forgot who he is. Forgot who Grover is, even though he just introduced himself. Now, I can understand them forgetting the outside world. Okay, fine. But why would you forget what happens in the casino? It's just very odd. But anyway, so Percy tells Annabeth what's happening. And so then they try to find Grover. And by this time, Percy had completely forgotten who Grover is. And they find Grover, almost finding Pan, because it's a virtual reality game as opposed to an actual search. And Grover has no clue who they are. They get him out of there, and then Percy ends up being the one to drive the taxi, which is apparently Hermes' car, and of course it is. So, and he drives about as well as you'd expect a 12-year-old who's never driven a car before to drive. I mean, heck, I wouldn't expect someone of driving age to be a perfect driver just because they happen to be 16. So if they've never driven before in their entire lives. So that's very realistic. Except for the fact that at the lack of damage on the car. So they drive off, and at first I thought because they would have like a car almost hit them, I thought, oh, he's going to send them to Hades the hard way by basically killing them. And, Percy seems to be getting the hang of it until he starts dragging the side of the car against the edge of the parking garage. So they get out, and it looks like they're about to be hit again. But suddenly they're in Santa Monica. They're at the Santa Monica Pier, which I didn't notice at first, just that there was a lot of water. But then they panned the camera around and you saw the Ferris wheel. So it's like, yeah, they're by the Santa Monica Pier. So Percy's like, okay, time to talk to my dad. Well, again, he missed him because they're gathering their forces. Poseidon's gathering his forces along with Zeus because, there's going to be a war over the fact that the Master Bolt was stolen. And they still think it's Hades when Percy told Annabeth about his dream thing, they figured it was Hades, which, Annabeth has no reason to doubt that it's Hades because there's no way for her to see into Percy's vision. So she has no way of knowing if this is Hades or not. So they think that it's Hades and that he's talking to Clarice. Because while they were talking with Luke, they realized that Ares is covering up for something. That's what Grover figured. So if he's covering up, it would be for his favorite daughter, Clarice. Which, wait a minute, didn't Ares say he doesn't even like his own kids? So how does he have a favorite daughter exactly? But anyway, so that's what they figured out. So he goes to talk to the woman who was tasked with meeting up with Percy. And Percy, she says, "You're too late. You're excused from your quest." And he's like, no, because this is what I saw. Hades said that he didn't say Hades. To her, he didn't say that. But that there's something more to this. That this is just the beginning. So I have to keep on with the quest. So she gives him 4 coins. And he's like, but there's 3 of us. And she tells him, go save the world and then save your mom. Which I thought was super sweet. So that's basically how it ends. With him being given basically a new quest. So then we see moments from next episode. And among other things, they are looking for the Master Bolt. We've never seen Hades. They are tasked with finding the Master Bolt, and we see, I think it's Ares that Percy is about to fight. Now, he did take down a Minotaur on his first try, as he pointed out. He, he beheaded Medusa, granted with help, but he beheaded Medusa. He took on the Fates. Not the Fates, but he took on one of Hades' minions. Yeah, I'm not going to say that Ares is going to slice and dice him, because, well, they're probably by the river Styx, right? And yes, it's Hades, but it's the underworld. But it's still a body of water, and Percy gets most of his strength from a body of water. So, I foresee that Percy's actually going to defeat Ares. Now, there's 2 episodes left. So, I doubt that the final episode is going to just be them traveling back to Camp Half-Blood or traveling to Olympus or wherever to return the Master Bolt. I highly doubt that that's the last episode. So there's got to be some sort of twist. Because if they're already in Hades next episode, then what are they going to do the last episode? Except possibly Percy meeting his father finally, and everyone living happily ever after. That could be a possibility too. That he's able to get his mom back and everyone lives happily ever after, or whatever. That's a possibility too. But yeah, it's these last couple of episodes have been really good. So I'm looking forward to next episode and seeing what happens, and does he complete his quest next episode, because it seems like he does. So yeah, and I don't know, maybe they didn't show Hades for a reason. So anyway, with that, I believe I've covered everything I wanted to this episode, and I will see you guys in the next one.